FastHTML is another one of these frameworks that allows you to create websites, UI without actually focusing on the HTML, CSS, right? Because the HTML, CSS, while it's good, there is a lot of mess there. You need to get, the Node.js. You need to separate between the front-end developers and the back-end developers mostly. It requires a lot of hacks. It's changing very fast. And my main focus is back-end developers that want to create user interfaces. So as a back-end developer that want to create user interfaces, you want to have a server. And you preferably for side projects, you don't want to say also for main projects. You don't want to separate the user interface and the backend unless you know it's a very unless you're at a 2% of highly optimized UI. In most cases, you're not in that box. In most cases, in 98% of the cases, you want to create your UI delivered. And the most important thing is your most important feature, right? Your number one feature. Let's get our number one feature out, and let's get it. And let's get a convenient infrastructure for building UI. So with that, we get to another framework which is called FastHTML. So it's let's read this. FastHTML is a new way to create modern interactive web apps. It scales down to a 6-line Python file. I don't buy this 6-line. It scales up to complex production apps. Of the B, caching, styling, all built in. So basically, the main premise here is that we use a single language. If we use Python, let's use Python for the user interface. Let's not separate things. Let's not create complex things, right? This is what React. So actually, this web page is created with FastHTML, right? You see, so we have here menus. All this text is created with Markdown, right? It's created with Markdown. Let's see some examples. FastHTML is a system for writing web applications in Python. It's designed to be simple, powerful, and flexible. It's also designed to be easy to learn and use. This project is inspired by technologies such as React JS, Hotwire, Astro, FastAPI, Phoenix, LiveView. FastHTML is small and simple. At the time of writing, it's under 1,000 lines of code. That's because it's built on top of powerful and flexible foundations: Python, Startlet, Unicorn, and HTMX. If you're a FastAPI user, much of FastHTML will look very familiar. FastAPI was a major inspiration. HTML was okay. Over 25 years of web developer, Jeremy realized that web programming could be easier. I cannot agree more. And more powerful. He has particularly concerned with recent trends had moved away from the power of web foundations, resulting in featured ecosystem for over complex frameworks and tools. He saw that two small but ingenious developments had made the web foundations more powerful and more accessible: SGI and HTMX. But the tools available for using them were still too complex, and the barriers to entry were still too high. Jeremy and his wife Rachel spent last 8 years working to make artificial intelligence accessible for more people, so that most widely used web development tools were too complex for people who aren't full-time coders. This meant that Jeremy and Rachel students struggled to turn in the AI projects. Yeah, so this reminds me of Streamlit, only FastHTML is a little bit lower level. Coding is key to turning ESS current status. Works well right now, but still young. Let's see some code examples. I'm looking for code examples. So a good code example, because this is an actual website, would be to look at the source code for this. Let's look at the source code for this website. So we see here a definition of a page. We see caption. Shouldn't be too high. Figure. So these are the definitions of this page, right? We have here the menu items. We have here a couple of text markdowns that we saw, right? So this looks good. And then here we have the actual text, right? The actual text that we saw in the paragraphs. This is the actual website. And this is the whole page that we saw, right? We have the title, we have a couple of figures, we have the menu items here. We have the menu items, we have the actual text, the paragraphs, and we have the sections that are composed of the menu items and the text. Then we return it. So basically what we have here is Python code that generates HTML, right? If we go to the documentations, we see that we need to pip install Python FastHTML, then we create the application, then we create like with, this is the route of the slash, the home of the application, and we create a div with a paragraph and hello world, and we use HTMX. So when we hit this, we go to the dot slash change, and in the change, we change the actual paragraph for nice to be here. So basically, what we see is that in this case, I mean, it's not that writing HTML is harder, right? It's not that writing HTML is harder. It's just that we need to maintain the front end and then maintain the back end and then the communication between them. And here we just encapsulate it into a single thing. In this case, the FastHTML, where it's solely Python, and we define here the div and the text and the routes and everything. This is what makes it simpler. It's simply that it's all under the same umbrella, the same server, the same thing, and not separating stuff. Sometimes separating stuff is good, but sometimes when you just want to create your project, I mean, separating things is an overkill, an overshoot, an overcomplexity, and you might just go along with this FastHTML.